Hey guys, it's been a while since the last time I posted a video. I think it's about four and a half months. Life got a little bit complicated. I changed jobs multiple times. I had family visiting for a long time, and I didn't really get to spend that much time on pyRevit improvements. However, during this whole time, I was still working on minor improvements to pyRevit and the core. I'm posting this video today to kind of like share some of those upcoming features for you. The next version that I'm gonna publish soon, it's gonna be the 4.6 beta version. There are a couple of features that are already completed, and we'll talk about those in a few minutes, and then I'll talk about the features that we have planned for 4.6 RC, which is the release candidate, and the 4.6 final, which, as promised last year, will have the full core documentation and a debugger on the output window and stuff like that. I'm hoping that the 4.6 would be somewhere towards the end of the year completed, and the major reason for that is just that this is only me working on the project, and with the more demanding job that I have now, it's a little bit harder to spend time on pyRevit improvements. So I have to do it like over the weekends mostly, and sometimes a couple hours during the week. So let's talk about a couple of really important features that are coming up. I'm going to show you, I have this pyRevit development tab that I'm going to show you these features in this because they're not really published to the main repo yet. So one of the most important ones that I really needed it at work also is the pyRevit capability to be able to execute Dynamo scripts. So if you have a Dynamo installed on your machine and you have created some Dynamo scripts and stuff like that, you can use Dynamo Player to run those. But for ease of distribution to other users and stuff like that, especially if you're already working in the pyRevit environment and have tools available for it and whatnot, it would be incredibly important if you can execute Dynamo from pyRevit. So pyRevit has this new bundle type, which is actually the standard push button, but it accepts instead of a Python script, it accepts a Dynamo definition. So you can throw that definition in and reload pyRevit, and pyRevit understands that it needs to run this sort of like script with Dynamo. The naming convention is still the same for the bundles, but the extension can be Dynamo basically, which is a Dynamo script. What it does is basically it calls up the Dynamo that's installed on your machine to execute that Dynamo script. So in this case, I'm going to go in and click on that, and it would run the Dynamo scripts, and you can see the effect of it on the walls, changing colors and whatnot. So this is incredibly important. You have the rest of the tools, like all clicking on the tools still available to go to inside the bundle really quickly. And also what's really important is that you need to understand that if your script, if your Dynamo definition or script is using other extensions, you need to have those extensions installed on Dynamo, because pyRevit is not really running the Dynamo script by itself. It's basically merely calling the installed Dynamo with whatever extensions that install on it to basically execute that script for you. The other really important topic is that what I really wanted to, as sort of like an improvement to the way you write scripts, is to allow compilation of the Python code that you write to DLLs and then loading those DLLs into your scripts. So through the help of a couple other users and whatnot, we were finally able to figure this out. So I've created a test script that I'll publish with pyRevit soon that you can always all of you can test. This test script compiles another Python script, which is basically here. So there's this script which IPyCompile. That's actually a Python script. So it has a type and a function and a global function, a global code basically that needs to be executed. So it basically compiles this script to a DLL and then loads that DLL into the script and tests the function and tests the defined type, importing those from the DLL. So basically, it compiles the DLL and then adds the path, which is it's compiling to the user system temporary folder because it doesn't want to write to its own bundle, so it writes it to the user temporary directory, and that's the name of the file, compiled ipytest.dll. And it adds a reference to it later on after the compile, and it imports the module which is basically the name of the Python script that was used to compile the DLL. That would be the name of the module, and then imports that, and then calls the function and creates an instance of that type. And it basically tests these two. So that's also completed. There's another minor feature which I also needed it very much is there are sometimes that the output window, you want to print a lot of content to the output window. And an output window is basically an HTML engine. So as you add content to it, it gets increasingly slower over time because it has to refresh a larger amount of information. So especially for very large output, the performance of the output window actually slows down the execution of your script. That's why I added a new feature to this output window. I'm going to show you this script um, in a few seconds. It opens here. So the script basically, whenever you got the output object from the script um, module, when you got the output, you can call freeze and unfreeze on it. Or you can use it as a constant context manager to basically freeze it during the print. The beauty of this is that you can encapsulate whatever amount of prints that you had in your code inside a freeze unfreeze basically scope area, and during that time the output window doesn't print anything. It notifies user that it's preparing the output for printing, but your script is actually pushing content to the window to the output window, but output window is frozen, so it doesn't refresh the content. And when you hit unfreeze, then it refreshes with all that content at once, which makes the output run a lot faster. So it basically looks something like this. If I run this tool, at the bottom of the screen, you see that there would be a preparing result here that shows you that it's working on preparing all the results. And when it's done, it goes away and it prints the content. So in this example, I'm going over a very large loop to print all the content. So this improves the speed of your scripts in outputting a lot of information. For example, if your script is going looking for discrepancies and stuff like that in your model, and you have a massive model and it needs to print a large list of like elements and objects and reports and stuff like that, this freeze unfreeze would help help improving the output performance. Again, as usual, I'm running this on a virtual machine in my laptop, so it is incredibly slower than the average machine, and it's already running at full speed. So okay, so this is what happens. It goes away and it basically prints the whole output for you. And you can see that this is like, I don't know, 50,000 lines or something. No, actually 5,000 lines. Yeah, it's a big output. So these features are completed. The only thing that's remaining is a couple of to-do lists item that I have to finish up in the repo, and I'll publish the 4.6 beta with a full list of all the other changes that have been done into pyRevit. There are a lot of core changes and stuff like that. I'll publish all those as a blog post. The last thing that I want to talk about is mostly for the people that use pyRevit in their professional environment, and they're creating tools and basically sharing these tools with everybody else. This should answer, I get a lot of questions about this, so this should answer the questions about distributing your pyRevit tools and the pyRevit itself to other people in your company, and basically installing and giving and basically keeping everybody updated with the same versions or whatever version of the pyRevit that you want everybody to be on. So the next version of pyRevit will be shipped with a tool that I'm calling it pyRevit. Obviously, it's not a very insane good naming, but it makes sense. It's a small command name, so it works. It's a CLI tool, meaning that it works in command prompt. It ships inside the bin folder inside pyRevit repository, and it basically provides all these facilities. You can install pyRevit itself if you have, because I'm going to ship this tool separately as well, so you can just get it and install it on your machine, and then use this to install pyRevit itself. You can install pyRevit. You can install pyRevit extensions from wherever you want it to be, because it can accept. You can install pyRevit itself, any branch of it, if you want to develop the master, anything, or you can install your own clone of the pyRevit. So if you have cloned your pyRevit, have made modifications to it and stuff like that, you can install that one as well. Uninstall. You can change the remote on the Git repository. You can check out different branches. You can set a specific version on it. Update. You can attach and detach pyRevit to multiple different Revit versions. Like for example, you want to install pyRevit on user machines, and then after that, you want to remove the pyRevit for, I don't know, Revit 2018 or 2015 or whatever. So that would be like two commands inside your Bash script for the user machines that you would install pyRevit, and it would also attach or detach it to different Revit versions. You can add and remove extensions, standard pyRevit extensions, or from your own repos. This actually helps you. So if you develop your own extension in-house, you can add that extension to pyRevit after installation that way. And you can set, whatever you want to install it, everything else. You have full flexibility on where you want to install it and stuff like that. You can remove those. You can enable and disable the extensions. You can provide information, get information about the pyRevit installed environment. So it gives you like pyRevit installed, what extensions are installed, what is the pyRevit configuration and stuff like that on that machine. You can list the installed Revit versions or the running Revit versions. You can kill all those Revit versions if you need to. So if you want to make sure, if you're doing anything else, for example, on that machine, and you have the pyRevit installed, you can actually use pyRevit tool to kill all the Revits to do something, to update something or whatever. Make sure you update pyRevit and stuff like that. Actually, the pyRevit update automatically kills, has an option to automatically kill all the open Revits, so it can update when the Revits are closed. You have full access to all the important core configurations inside pyRevit. Like if you want to enable check update, auto update, I'll talk about it in a few seconds. Rocket mode, logs, file logging, loading, not loading of beta tools and stuff like that. You have access to full these, and then you also have access to full configuration file. So if you want to specifically configure one of your own features, add a configuration, remove a configuration for your own scripts and whatnot, you can actually do that. There's an option to merge configurations as well. So if you have a configuration file, you can use that as a template, and it would merge it with your other settings. It's a quite powerful tool. What I've laid it out, it's only basically what I've actually created and coded is actually a small subset of these options. I'm going to keep working on these until 4.6 release candidate, which at that point this tool would be at its version 1, basically fully completed. All these features will be available to it. This is something that I have to continue working on. I'm putting more priority over this than the core documentation. So the core documentation will be ready for the 4.6 complete final version, because I realized that this tool is much more important in terms of giving you more accessibility and more flexibility in terms of like getting your extensions to the users. Another feature that I've added also to pyRevit is an auto update mode. So if you install all your extensions and everything else, if you activate auto update in the configurations on the user machine, when they actually run Revit, it automatically updates pyRevit and all the other installed extensions on that user. So this way, instead of instead of placing the extensions and pyRevit on a network drive and deal with network latency and stuff like that, and basically slower Revit load times, this solution actually sometimes doesn't work for some clients because they have multiple offices. They don't have a shared drive that is fast for everybody because the offices are around the world and stuff like that. So it makes more sense to actually distribute pyRevit into the user machine, local machine, and then have a system to always make sure that it's updated. The pyRevit installer, the next version of pyRevit installer actually creates a shortcut for pyRevit update. So if you go here and search for pyRevit in your start menu, you'll see that there will be a pyRevit shortcut here. Then when you click on it, it actually calls this tool and runs the pyRevit updater. So you can actually ask the user very easily to go inside the start menu and pyRevit update, or you can have this bash script that the IT basically manages for all the user machines, that whenever they log into the machine, the pyRevit update command would run before they even run Revit and stuff like that. It would keep everything updated, and it works with all the extensions, the pyRevit core itself, and whatnot. One of the other things that I wanted to show you for all you guys is pyRevit installer now has a core only feature. So if you don't want to see any other pyRevit tools when you're installing it, you can install pyRevit at core. So it only installs pyRevit core. It expects basically to you to add an extensions to load stuff in it, but it will not install the pyRevit basic tools. This way you get the core. It's much smaller than the actual the whole complete repository. This way you can only distribute the core to people and add your own extension and basically use pyRevit as a distribution platform for all the tools that you're creating. So that's all that I really wanted to talk about. I hope you're happy with the changes. I promise that, considering that I have a very demanding job, I'll keep continuing working on this and finish up this items in my to-do list quickly. Issue the 4.6 beta so you can get to play with these features and give me some feedbacks. And then you will actually see the pyRevit.exe in the 4.6 beta, but with minimal features only for installing pyRevit and stuff like that. So for 4.6 beta, we'll have the new pyRevit installer that uses the pyRevit.exe basically to install that. This effectively, this pyRevit.exe effectively kills that previous project that we had, the pyRevit Git services tool. It kills that, and it basically replaces it with a much more powerful tool that you can control. You can basically control all the pyRevit features within a user's machine from your command prompt. That's about it. I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to talk about at this point, but let me know if you have any other questions. I'm still working on the features and I'm sorry, the issues that have been posted on the pyRevit. But the priority for me right now is to get the bugs corrected first. So you will see that there are like 22 issues reported there. But if you take a look at the tags that I assigned to them, 90% of them are requests for enhancements. And those are like, enhancements to the tools and stuff like that. So I'm going to talk about a few of them really quickly, just so you know that there's some stuff coming up. I might be able to sneak in a couple of these in the future updates. But this match for Revit 29, I'll update it within the next week within the same pyRevit repo, the main branch. There is a localization feature that's been requested that is also really important to me too. I'm going to modify all the pyRevit scripts so they would basically be ready to be localized by other users. So, for example, if you live in China and you want to translate pyRevit into Chinese, you would have a single file that you can go through and includes all the strings in English that pyRevit shows to the user, and you can go and type a translation in Chinese for those in a file and add that file to the pyRevit repository. And basically, you can the users can set the pyRevit language or set their machine language to a different language, and all the strings and all the prompts and everything else would be in that language. Hopefully, this is an ongoing process because obviously I don't know 100 different languages. I only know 2, so I can do this for Farsi and for English, but I would rely on everybody else's help to translate pyRevit into different languages. This would actually allows you to create your own tools in your own language and stuff like that, and basically have it translated by other users into their own languages as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You can see most of these tools are enhancement requests. There are a couple of tools that have been added. There are no major bugs as far as I know in pyRevit. Every once in a while I get an email from somebody. pyRevit might not behave the way it really should on some user machines. I'm trying to be better with those and identify those issues and stuff like that. But majority of you, I think, are having a good time and using the tools and staying productive. Thank you so much. I'll post another video soon on the updates for the 4.6 beta and the changes that's been done to it.